This first demonstration is going to be working with some of the million-star Gypsophila. So many times florists get the opportunity to create headdresses, we may call them wreaths, halos, for flower girls, for first communions. And a lot of florists kind of feel like, geez, that's so much wiring and taping. You don't have to do it that way anymore. The first thing that you do is you take some of the 12-gauge aluminum wire in any color selection, whatever is suitable for the event. I've chosen some of the brown wire here, and then I'm going to overwrap it with some of the bullion in gold. Quite simply done, we would just take some of the product, and this could be baby's breath as the most common selection for this type of headdress, or it could be something like rosemary foliage, could also be annual status. Many different types of plant materials would be appropriate for this, for the initial base. I'm going to take these small bunches of the baby's breath and then I overwrap them with the bullion thread. And the nice thing about using the decorative wire is it is a mechanic that is meant to be revealed and not concealed. Therefore, the additional taping that we used to do is no longer necessary, and it really saves time. And as I'm working on this, I'm kind of thinking about the price point for a design like this. Really, our best example of what we could charge for a floral design like this is whatever the market can bear, plus a little bit, maybe what you're thinking. A design like this could easily sell for the $40, $50, $60 price range for a flower girl. And when we're pricing for weddings, we might think about it in terms of an entire ensemble. So the flower girl would be complete with flowers to wear and carry, let's say for $100. Once I'm done with this particular design, I could take it and using some of the Oasis adhesive, I could apply a small bit of adhesive to the base of florets, and I can glue in rosebuds, florets from snapdragons, stock, whatever seasonal material I want to add a dash of color and fragrance to the design, and the design is complete. So an experienced floral designer can create a floral arrangement like this in probably about 10 minutes. It's really packed with profit. As I'm working towards the end of this design, I have a couple of different things to think about, and that is how the design itself is going to be finished off. You may have noticed that on the aluminum wire, the 12-gauge aluminum wire, how I've taken and bent the ends inward. That's going to be a good thing to do because I want to prevent scratching the head of the wearer of the design, and further give something where the design could be easily bobby pinned into the hair. That's probably the slickest manner. So a good floral designer, when they go to set up a wedding, would have a toolkit and have some bobby pins as part of the toolkit. In addition to that, we can also offer a few of these. If this is a pickup for a first communion or a smaller wedding, we can have a few of those that we throw into the bag, along with putting the sticker of the name of your flower shop onto the bag for identification. Now as I wind up the last part of this design, I'm going to take and just add additional lengths of bullion, and then I'm going to trim off the natural stems of the baby's breath like this. Then I wind this around several times, and then as I get to the end of the spool, I could just merely tear this off with my hands. No need to use scissors with bullion because it's a very soft wire. I'm going to take the wire and I create a loop on one side underneath, and then the extended portion of the wire on the opposite side of the main stem, and just like using a tie on a bread bag, twist these two ends together very firmly, binding them together so that they hold into place and do not slip apart. And then I'm going to cut off the excess end of that wire and then very gently take this wire, fork it into an L shape, and fork it and pierce it into the mechanics of the stem. Therefore, it won't be able to escape. Now, I could just take this and create a floral design where a girl wears it as a semicircle on her head, in an opposing sort of direction where it's even involved into a long braid. Because it's made on the flexible wire, there are so many things that a floral designer can do to adapt it to the situation. At this point in time, I'm going to take some Alstroemeria florets, and I'm going to use these as a little additional color within the design. When we work with the Alstroemeria, we need to make sure that we purchase it well ahead of time so that the florets are nicely open and mature. And remember, with Alstroemeria, you can get more surface area of color by gently reflexing those petals outward. And that gives us more value of working with this plant material. Do everything in stages with designs like this to save time, especially if you have numerous wreaths to make or flowers to wear. I'm going to work with the Oasis Floral Adhesive next, removing the cap. And remember, when you work with this product, it is a relatively liquid type glue, so I want to make sure that when I apply it to the florets, I get a nice thin coating of it. And I'm kind of doing this, sort of smearing the glue as I go on one side. Then I'm going to set that floret aside and create the additional placements. Again, as I mentioned before, it's possible to use different types of plant materials for this little accent. So whatever the accent flowers are and the accent colors are in the wedding, you can save just a few scraps to create the Flower Girl ensemble. Then, after giving this a few seconds to cure, I'm going to take the florets and just nestle them into the network of the baby's breath, making good surface area contact. A little bit of spacing throughout and something of a zigzag pattern helps to ensure that the colors will be distributed evenly and the placements of the flowers will be relatively natural looking. I could always come back and add a little bit of ribbon to the design if I wanted to, just sort of making the ribbon dance all the way through the arrangement. But after a few minutes outside of the cooler, I would give this a nice misting of our anti-transparent spray, and then I would put it into a bag. It's refrigerated. This could be made on a Wednesday or a Thursday prior to a Saturday wedding.
You want Jack?